That was my first like live TV. So I think it went pretty good though. You know, it's not that much different than doing the other ones. It's just like, you know, you feel a little bit more pressure, I guess. And it's funny that Fox News guy, I mean, he was great and it all went well, but if you ever watched Fox News and you've ever seen those, like the hosts, and they're just like, well, what about this? What about that? It's just like rapid fire questions versus some of the other things I've done in the media have been more conversational. So yeah. It was a great experience. And the girl who's like, I guess the studio manager ended up emailing me back. She's like, oh, we ever thought that was great and we want to have you back. So
that's really cool. Yeah, he seemed, whenever you were talking, he was like, he looked very concerned. He was like, oh my God.
Yeah, it was kind of funny. But yeah, so that was good. What about you? Busy week?
Yeah, just same old, but
CrossFit, you had a big competition again, right?
I mean, yeah, but we lost. My team lost.
You guys lost.
Yeah, update, we lost.
Oh my gosh, I'm sorry to hear that. I mean, obviously you were carrying the team, right? It's like your teammates need to like pick it up a little bit.
Sure. Yeah.
I'd offer to come out there and help, but man, I would like be a total anchor right now. I need to like a year to like, you know, train before I can come help you.
Yeah. CrossFit ain't no joke.
It's not.
My legs are sore right now from CrossFit, like super sore.
Yeah, I bet. Well, is this like something you're going to do weekly or just you had a
No, it's already over. It was just 3 weeks. It was for the
weeks.
CrossFit Open.
Yeah.
They have it every year around this time. Yeah.
Now, are there like more national competitions like that would be outside of your gym?
There's like all kinds of competitions.
Have you done any of those?
All over the place. I've been, like, there's one big one in Austin called the Fittest Experience, and I've been to it just to watch.
Yeah.
But
dude, that's dedication. Like, you're going to a CrossFit competition.
Well, I was going to watch my friends.
Oh, you watch your friends. Okay.
Yeah, but like, I didn't know if it was I'm
like,
not like your typical CrossFitter. Like, I don't.
You're not?
No, like I don't. A lot of CrossFit people like are very like obsessed with like. It's almost like, you know how people like watch and follow like all their favorite NFL athletes.
Oh, okay, so I think of it as like a hardcore sport.
Yeah, so people will follow and get really and like just dive into all the athletes and CrossFit, and they're like, oh, did you see blah 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 doing that lift? I'm like, no, who's that? They're like, you don't know who that is? You're CrossFit? I'm like,
do you even CrossFit, bro?
Yeah, for real. I'm like the black sheep of CrossFit.
I feel like you're really into it though, you know, because
I'm
you're
into
so
the
involved.
Fitness product,
for the
part
fitness
of it, and the community part of it, not so much the.
I have to admit, like, I do miss that kind of camaraderie, and also like feeling I was in really good shape. I do miss that.
Yeah, I don't think many 30-year-olds can say they can, like, you know, deadlift over 200 pounds.
Oh yeah,
or
everyone's in great shape when they're 20.
Yeah.
Not everyone's in great shape, you know, 10 years later after a kid or two. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, well, I'm proud of you.
Big feet.
I'm proud of you.
Thanks. That's one thing.
All right, so I want to move on to our first topic because this one's kind of a big one. I assume you guys heard about the tragedy in Mexico where there was 4 Americans who came from North Carolina. They were driving to Matamoros, Mexico.
Yeah.
And pretty soon after they went across the border, their car was ambushed by the cartel. Seemingly out of nowhere, their car was shot. The 4 people were pulled out of the car. They were thrown into the back of a pickup. There was, you know, this crazy, you know, video that was shown, and so it's brought up in the news the dangers of medical tourism, you know, and there's a picture of their vehicle that was crashed after they were attacked, and 2 of the people ended up dying. The other 2 have been returned back to the United States.
How did they die?
They were shot.
Oh.
Yeah, they got shot. I think they were dead. It looked like in the video that 2 of them died in the initial kind of assault, and they just tossed the bodies in the back of the truck. What's even crazier, and so I want to say I predicted what happened yesterday or the day before. I predicted that the cartel was going to turn on those guys, you know, because the cartel is super powerful, but I mean, the U.S. government's a little bit bigger, and I don't think the cartel wants the U.S. government to, you know, have a bone to pick with them. So I predicted that the cartel was probably going to kill those guys or, you know, turn them in, and they did that. I don't know if you guys saw that. It was in the news yesterday.
I saw that.
They tied those guys up, left them at a police station with a note saying, "We apologize. These guys acted out of, you know, their protocols or whatever." And the cartel went so far to say, "Is we like to protect innocent life." I mean, okay, cartel, I guess. I don't know, but yeah. So that was.
That's kind of weird. Like, what were they expecting to gain besides like ransom money? Is that what they were doing?
I personally believe, and this is just my personal opinion, that it was just a mistake. That they weren't trying to kidnap Americans. I would assume the cartel has pretty strict orders not to mess with Americans, because of the reasons, right? If Americans get killed in Mexico, then U.S. government, the CIA, all those people get really kind of more interested in what the cartel's doing. They don't want that.
Then it honestly decreases tourism to Mexico.
Oh, of course, yeah, absolutely. But I think that was just a total mistake that happened.
It's like even I want to go to take Avery to Big Bend National Park.
Yeah, I mean that's.
And my mom's like,
it's a little questionable.
She doesn't want me to go, but it's like I've never even been there before.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I went back in the 90s.
Yeah, she's like, I don't think you should go there, like by yourself.
By yourself,
you need to go there with like a group of people or something. And I'm like, yeah, I guess.
So as you were saying earlier, I did a bunch of media reviews. I took a couple clips. I took a clip from just a tiny part of what I did with Fox News, one from Washington Post. I was just gonna roll it just for the fun of it, just to kind of show some of the stuff that I did. Hey, can you roll that video, Joe?
What is this phenomenon, especially among some Americans who do travel to Mexico to get plastic surgeries, known as medical tourism? Let's talk about this even further. Dr. Bruce Hermann joining us right now. He's a board-certified plastic surgeon. Dr. Hermann, thanks for being with us. Yeah. Just lastly, doctor, do you think this will deter Americans, this story, from seeking this out, or is it going to be kind of carte blanche, as you say?
Well, I mean, this is something that I'm very passionate about. I see so many patients that have been injured from medical tourism. I've been talking about this for quite some time. I have a talk show that I do every Friday to warn people about certain things in medicine. I talk about this all the time, and I hate that this tragedy has brought this to the news, but I'm hoping that people will see this and think twice before they seek out medical tourism, which might cost them complications or possibly even their lives.
Dr. Bruce Hermann, we appreciate your time and your insight. We'll definitely be speaking again. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much. I enjoyed it.
Hopefully, you'll come back safe.
But not everyone does. The 4 Americans were kidnapped right here on a busy street in broad daylight. But doctors stress kidnapping isn't the only problem that can come up.
Outside of the country, you have no idea about the certification of the doctor, the facility, and all of these things which are designed to keep you safe. And yes, you can save some money by going out of the country to get surgery, but if you have a complication, suddenly all of that savings is gone. And I've seen people die from going outside of the country for surgery. It's just, to me, it's not worth your health or your life to save a few dollars. Anyway, thought that those were pretty cool. I ended up doing like 7 or 8 interviews that day. Those were kind of the two biggest ones. But so what I want to talk about today is not necessarily the cartel stuff, because realistically, kidnapping and murder should not be high on the list of risks of medical tourism. But as we've kind of danced around in a couple of segments before, I do feel strongly against medical tourism. And so I just kind of want to go over those things about medical tourism that make it somewhat dangerous for the consumer. And so the first thing that you might talk about is, why do people do it, right? Mm-hmm. Well, it all boils down to money. I mean, just like jobs have gotten outsourced to, third world countries, the same thing's happening with plastic surgery. You can do business cheaper in countries like Mexico, the Dominican Republic, and Costa Rica, which are 3 of the big ones where this kind of stuff happens. And so people want to save some dollars on their surgeries, and they seek out these medical tourism spots. The problem I have is that the savings are not so dramatic. It's around 40, maybe up to 50%, which I know is that's a huge discount. For example, a surgery that might cost $8,000 in the United States would run something like $4,500, in Mexico. Mm-hmm. But you have to calculate your travel costs, either driving, fuel for your car, plane ticket, hotel stay,
your life.
Well, yeah, right. And then the cost really goes through the roof if you have problems.
Yeah.
I mean, that's where it gets ridiculous as far as the savings just being completely gone, or you paying multiple times more. But the other things to can think about is well, first off, you should break medical tourism into 2 things. One, medical tourism within the United States. Okay, and medical tourism abroad. And so firstly, with medical tourism within the United States, and this is something I know we've talked about, at least is like in bits of segments, is like those plastic surgery mills Where's the big place for them?
Florida.
Florida, yeah, man, they are
Florida.
so popular in Florida. So in Florida, and they do this in other states, but it seems to be very popular in Florida, is these companies will buy a clinic and they do a lot of advertising. They offer very, very cheap surgery to get patients in the door, and they seek out people for medical tourism. And the way that they do it is they get surgeons who are not very busy, who are willing to do surgery for a fraction of the cost just to be able to fill their day. And so there's multiple problems with this. One, the preoperative consult is really kind of scaled down. Like when people come to my office, I talk with them in a lot of detail, go over all their concerns, their desires, do their exam, and formulate a plan specific for each patient. And that does take time and expertise. I don't feel like my nurse, even who's very sharp, could do it as well as I do, and she sees me do it all the time. So I feel like the preoperative consults these surgery mills are giving people are inadequate, and that just hurts the doctor-patient relationship. And when you look at malpractice cases, one of the biggest thing listed for why the malpractice suit was filed was poor communication between the patient and the doctor.
Yeah.
And so when you have that, I just think that your outcomes are more likely to be unfavorable. So then of course you have to question the surgeons doing it. I mean, and everyone starts out fresh, I get that, but I mean, a lot of these people are either fresh out of training or potentially doctors who are having issues keeping their own practice going, which begs the question of why is that?
Yeah.
So there's a little bit of question about the doctors. When you go to these facilities, they don't have the doctors listed out. You know, you go to my webpage or webpage of other surgeons in town, it will say, this is Dr. So-and-so, went to these schools, these training programs, these certifications.
Right.
I mean, they don't have that at these other places. And then probably the biggest thing for me, well, I don't know, they're all kind of equal, but another really big point is the post-operative care. You know, when you travel to somewhere like Miami to get plastic surgery, you're there for like 1 or 2 days and then you go home. Well, the complications generally don't happen in the first day or two. If they do, that's purely a surgical error. But real complications, things like infection or wound healing issues, tend to happen later.
Yeah.
So what happens, these patients have surgery, they get sent home, and then they start to have a complication, and they don't have anywhere to go.
I feel like it's like common sense. Like if you made something, you're going to know how to fix it if it fails, you know? So.
Well, and plus people don't want to deal with the complications. I mean, I do, because I feel bad. I literally, the day I was doing those interviews, Tuesday, I got a call from the hospital. We got a patient, they got a tummy tuck in Mexico, and they have a bad infection. Can you see him? I mean, I didn't have to take it. I'm not required to take call at that. I could have said no, but I just feel bad for people. But, and then I'm just kind of like jumping on a live grenade here. I mean, this is a mess that I'm
that you didn't
inheriting.
Yeah, you don't even
that
know
person got like
what could what could have happened.
Right. You don't know exactly what was done. You hope that the procedure was done similarly to how you might do it, but you don't know that. So I do have a lot of issues with people even going within the United States for surgery. And even myself, I don't want to say I push patients away when they ask me, because I do get people inquiring, but I just go into a lot of detail of my concerns, and I make them promise that they're going to be in the area for a certain amount of time, and I almost make it inhibitory for them to want to do it. But then if they do all that, I'll do it. And I literally just did a surgery on a girl that lives probably 4 or 5 hours away, and it's gone fine, but she was amenable to my request in order to do that. So
Yeah.
Now,
That's good.
when you talk about medical tourism out of the United States, you have all of the problems I just listed, and then even more.
Plus your safety, apparently.
Well, apparently, plus the risk of getting kidnapped and
Yeah.
killed by the cartel, which is not a laughing matter, but it's just mind-boggling to think that you even have to worry about that.
No.
But the first thing that you might consider is language barriers. You know, medical language, when I'm talking to a patient, has to be explained very clearly in order for them to properly understand what's going to happen to them. And it can be difficult, and I can tell you from firsthand, because I do speak fluent Spanish, and so when I have patients who are Spanish speaking, I do their consults in Spanish, and I have to be very careful that they're understanding me properly, because my Spanish is very good. I consider myself fluent, but I just want to make sure they understand. And if you, as someone who doesn't speak Spanish, go to a country, or you go to a country where Spanish is spoken, you don't speak it, and their interpreter may not be, perfect with medical lingo, you can end up getting some miscommunication.
Yeah.
So there's that risk. And then the biggest thing about going out of the country is just the unknown about the certification of of the physician and the facility. You know I've told you that here, even in Dallas, Texas, we have OBGYNs doing breast augmentations, we have internal medicine doctors doing Brazilian butt lifts. I mean, for that kind of stuff to be happening here in the United States, here in Dallas, which I feel like is a place that is well known for plastic surgery, is kind of unbelievable, but it is.
I feel like it's almost the way it's portrayed is almost like the Wild West, like back when like dentists used to be surgeons,
right?
Like back like in the like Wild West days.
Totally, and that's
like,
yeah, I think that's how it is in some of these countries like Mexico.
They just do everything.
I mean,
like, I'm your veterinarian, I'm your dentist.
It could
your
be.
Doctor,
I mean,
I'm your.
It absolutely could be that, because the regulation here in the United States is as strict as it is anywhere in the world, and I feel like it's still inadequate. So what are you getting in a foreign country? And
you just don't know.
You just have no idea, and it's sad because people will see web pages that show these great facilities, and people can make up any credentials they want. Who's to regulate whether or not it's
for sure
true or not? And I think people are getting tricked into thinking that this is a safe thing when it's not. I see on average probably one patient per month that has serious complications from medical tourism, and that's covering 3 hospitals. But I mean, how many people? How many people across the country, just like myself, are seeing those patients? How many of my colleagues in my area that are on call different days are seeing them? And when you think about it and extrapolate that out into the country, I mean, I think it's a huge problem, and I'm not sure that people know how big that this is. So.
Yeah, I wonder like all the other surgeries besides plastic surgery that people go to.
So I think it's less because most people are seeking out surgeries that are not insurance based.
Okay.
So they're seeking out surgeries they have to pay for out of pocket.
Okay.
For the most
part.
part.
There's a big handful of people that don't have insurance anymore.
True. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that is true. I have heard of people going across the border for non-cosmetic stuff. That does happen. Like dentistry stuff is popular. But the same rules apply. I mean, you just have to be very, very careful. And this is not to say that there aren't great doctors, businesses in places like that. So of course there are. But I worry about the regulation here in the United States, where it's the strict as anywhere in the world. You just don't know what you're getting when you go abroad, and so it's not worth your life to save money. And if you have a complication, you'll end up paying exponentially more than you would if you would have had the surgery here. So
that's for real.
Yeah. So if you got friends thinking about medical tourism, please tag them in this or let them know to come and take a look at it. I don't have anything to gain out of people not going out of the country. I mean, I'm busy in my practice, and this is a more national show, not where I practice. I mean, it's purely a patient safety issue. I see people get hurt by it all the time, and I think it's wrong.
It is, for sure.
All right. Okay, moving on.
Yeah.
So we got more depressing news. People committing crimes. So
nice.
Pasadena official has been arrested for embezzling money, $1.6 million to pay for her plastic surgeries and other things. Obviously, she can't spend $1 million on plastic surgery.
Yeah, she'd look like a completely different person. I would hope after spending.
And I'm not sure, man. If she paid $1 million for that, I mean, no offense, but
she's looking rough.
Yeah, that's a little rough right there.
I don't know. I don't know too many people that don't look rough
on their mugshot.
Yeah,
their mugshot. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like if I've never been arrested, but I would want to have like a nice mugshot, a nice smile and proper form. I wouldn't want to look.
There is a side story.
Okay.
There's a guy became a model after having a
Get
mugshot.
out of here. Are you serious?
Like he's very handsome, but he's a model now.
Because of his mugshot.
Legitimately.
Wow. Talk about falling into a pile of poop and come up smelling like a rose.
Because of social media, it got
he got millions of hits.
Look at this hot guy on.
Dude, hot guy gets her. What did he get arrested for? Looking that good?
Yeah, seriously. That's what it was.
All right. So this lady's name is Jamie Hafar. She's 46 years old. She's accused, allegedly, of stealing over the course of 5 years. And she was the finance director for the Pasadena, Texas Chamber of Commerce. And so she actually did a lot of things to steal this money. It was pretty crazy. I was reading the story about it. She opened up a credit card in the president's name of the Chamber of Commerce. Those cards have big spending accounts. It's not like, a $5,000. It was like $300,000 limit. Also, she was just skimming money straight off the Chamber of Commerce in various ways, opening up loans through the Chamber of Commerce. And then lastly, she was taking proceeds from their charity events and just depositing them right in her own
That's what I was
PayPal.
about to say. I was like, I was a part of the Denton Chamber of Commerce.
Were
I'm
you?
like, she's probably just straight up stealing money from small businesses.
Yes, that's exactly what she was doing. Yeah.
That is crazy.
It was nuts. Like, and so she was arrested.
Good.
Her trial is pending. Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, she's stealing from. I'm a small business owner just like you. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, she's stealing from us. Dang it, she's taking our money. So,
Backbone
so there's a
from
lot to like unpack about here. I mean, one, I just don't understand how a person who has a seemingly good job thinks that
Would
they're going to
ruin
get
it.
away. Well, how do they think that they're going to get away with that?
I don't know. It probably started out small.
You
like,
think so?
Oh,
Skimming like $100 here, and then
I'm going to pay for I'll use it to pay for gas.
you think so? And then it
I'll
just
use
keeps
it to
going.
pay for dinner.
And then it just like
I'll
gets
use
out
it
of
to
hand.
grab some groceries. Ooh, I'll use it to do this. And it just like accelerates into like, oh, I'm going to get a boob job.
I don't know. I just
She probably it's probably started out really small and she just realized I'm going to get away with it. And it just kept getting bigger and bigger.
yeah.
She probably has some type of like addictive personality. Like she likes the thrill of it. I
You
feel
know
like
that
most
might be
people-
right.
Most people like that have like this like
This rush. It's like the rush
Rush
of
of,
people who
like-
like shoplift when they don't need to. It's like, oh, I got away with something.
like
I
when
don't
like
know.
really rich people shoplift.
Yeah, right. That is bizarre, isn't it? I mean, maybe it is something like that. I just don't. It's hard for me to fathom.
I'm like, you probably investigate it more. She probably had like a bad family life. Like her husband's like a piece of crap or like,
Yeah, you're probably right. I didn't say that she was married.
Oh.
I think she was living at. Well, the weird part, I think it said she was living at home when all this was going on, like with her parents, even at 40.
How old is she? Oh,
46.
shoot, dang. She does have some problems.
I think she does. So I don't know. That I'm not sure what she was thinking. I mean, that just seems like that's a guarantee to get caught because eventually people are going to audit you, right? They're going to see that there's $1 million. I mean, how does $1 million go missing and someone not know it?
Yeah.
I don't
She
know.
must have never had like a huge criminal background because she would have never been able to work for the city.
Right, yeah, she probably was pretty clean up, prior to this. So based on this story, I want to think of like creative ways that people might pay for their plastic surgery. So have you guys heard anything, Travis? You ever heard anybody do anything interesting to pay for plastic surgery?
To pay for plastic surgery?
Was there anything crazy?
I've not heard any
Besides
kind of
having
crazy
an
story.
OnlyFans.
Okay, so side jobs.
Yeah.
That would be one. So it's like side jobs, like OnlyFans, and we have a whole OnlyFans story coming up, by the way. I hope you guys are ready. Yeah, side jobs would be one thing. GoFundMe.
Yeah.
Have you guys seen that? GoFundMe pages, yeah. What about like high interest loans? I was kind of looking up ways, people had paid for, plastic surgery that were noteworthy, like loan sharks. I've heard of people like getting plastic surgery, through like a high interest, kind of under the table loan, which is pretty
Yeah.
wild. Selling their possessions, like medical studies, or also here's the one that we do actually sometimes, not necessarily surgery, but more treatments, letting people practice on you.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we did that actually in our training. We had what was called the resident clinic, and people could come get plastic surgery for really cheap prices, knowing that it would be a resident doing it. I mean, I did those surgeries myself. Now, of course, we have supervision, so it's not just willy-nilly.
Yeah.
But yeah. So actually, I wanted to look up and find, based on this girl's story, what were 3 of the wildest things people did
To get plastic surgery.
to get plastic surgery that made the news. So I found 3 that were pretty interesting. So in 2017, there was a woman in Houston, and she reportedly sold her home to get the money to pay for like an extensive amount of plastic surgery. She had like a tummy tuck, breast augmentation, liposuction, and she had a home and she sold it, did these surgeries, but then she moved into an apartment. She didn't have a home anymore.
Yeah.
Like she literally sold her
I
home.
hope she
get
looks the
plastic
way
surgery.
she wants to look.
I couldn't find a follow-up. I found the bit piece about it. That would be very interesting to see how to
Yeah, I hope everything worked out for her.
did it work
Since
out. I
she
feel like I
went-
would rather have a
since
home.
she went that
Pardon?
hard.
Yeah, she went all in.
Yeah.
That's crazy. One of the first people to to make the news for GoFundMe's for this was there was a guy in the UK, and he put up a GoFundMe page, and it was one of the first ones that was asking for money for plastic surgery. And he had a pretty good story though. So his story was that he wanted to get plastic surgery on his ears, he wanted to get plastic surgery on his nose because he'd been bullied his whole life. And so it got a little bit of traction, and it was in a few like news spots, and he actually ended up getting the money. He got like I think $5,000, which is what his goal was to raise for surgery.
That's pretty neat.
That's pretty I have to admit it's pretty ballsy to get on GoFundMe, and because you consider plastic surgery to be more of a luxury type thing. It'd be like getting on GoFundMe to have someone get you like a Gucci purse.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, usually you get on GoFundMe, hey, we lost our house, or my dog needs an operation, or something like that.
Treat yourself.
Yeah.
But treat me.
But he did have a good story. He had this story about the bully, and I think that was what made it successful.
Yeah.
And then lastly, there was actually a girl in 2019. She's from California. She was a student, college student, and she took her student loan money and used it to buy plastic surgery. And she got caught doing it. Well, not caught, but it became known that she did that. And she caught a lot of flack for that, which, I can't say that back in my college days when I got my student loan check, I didn't use it to pay for stuff that wasn't necessarily school. It was just there to pay bills, right?
That's what it's for. It's to fund your student life.
Right. Well, apparently her student life was having a good rack because she went and got a boob job. And,
Yeah.
Or no, I can't. Maybe it was. I can't remember if it was a breast aug or what it was she got, but she got plastic surgery, and then of course that it got traction on social media, and so people were giving her grief about it. But pretty wild stuff. I don't know if I would do anything crazy for plastic surgery. I just wouldn't. I mean, I don't know. There's nothing that I really want in my life that much. And I feel, and obviously now where I have like a job, or actually multiple jobs, I mean, I can buy stuff if I want to buy it. But back when I was younger, I don't think I would have done that crazy stuff for something I really wanted. I'd just be like, okay, I'll just wait.
Yeah.
I guess I'm very kind of a content person. I don't have to have stuff like right away.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. So you're not gonna go
get any more plastic
embezzle
surgery
money for plastic surgery?
Embezzle money? No.
Okay, good.
I don't have any plans to at
Good,
the moment.
excellent.
No.
All right. I don't think you need any plastic surgery, by the way. You look fabulous.
Thank you.
All right. Okay. So, lastly, our last segment. So, this is a pretty interesting story, and this is kind of an ethical stuff. So, you guys are going to have to weigh in on this one. This is a story about predatory plastic surgery ads, and this actually comes to us from our friends across the pond in the UK. This story was in the Daily Mail UK, and it's about a UK plastic surgery clinic called Enhance Medical. And this group is under fire for various reasons, and what it is they are offering cut rate plastic surgery, so very, very low cost, no down payment, and monthly payments. So I converted it for you. It was like 85 euros, which is like $90 a month to get plastic surgery. So they're targeting people that are lower income, because they're normally, apparently in the UK, breast aug is like $8,000, and so when you work this out over the 5 years, they end up paying I think $5,400. So these are pretty low prices, but they're under fire for a couple reasons, because they're targeting young people who may not have really the disposable income to do this. And the other thing they're doing that's really getting people riled up is they're using OnlyFans models to push this. And so what they've been doing is they'll get these OnlyFans models that are kind of in that rapid growth phase, and they say, hey, we'll give you free plastic surgery, but we want you to talk
about it.
We want you to give us testimonials, and we want you to use your pictures. And so of course a lot of these girls are, plastic surgery, which is going to help my OnlyFans business? Yes, please. And so I have a list. Travis, can you roll those pictures of these OnlyFans girls? Yep. So that was the girl that was on the front, and she was pushing Enhance. There's another one. These look like classic OnlyFans pic that you see like that pop up in your Insta. Uplift with implants, before and afters. Apparently some of these girls are pretty famous on OnlyFans. I don't really know much about the OnlyFans famous people, but some of these girls are pretty famous in the UK.
See, that's the thing, is like, aren't most of OnlyFans subscribers men? So what are they advertising to? Men? So I hope they're getting their money's worth.
Well, that's actually a great point. Yeah, you're right. I feel though that
if they advertise, I guess if they advertised it on their Instagram, if girls follow them on their Instagram, then that's cool. But like,
you're so right, because I would imagine that their Instagram has got to be 90% men, right?
My Instagram is 85% men.
Really?
And I do not post pictures of myself like they do.
Yeah, that's kind of
at all.
That's unusual. I did not even think of that when I was kind of, ruminating over this story that people are advertising these girls. Well, one thing I will say, okay, those girls, they all look very nice. They're fit and they're proportioned well, and so I think that maybe the thought process is, well, we may get some traction with their followers, maybe not, but even just putting the picture up of this girl who, is using their looks for business and therefore is going to look very well put together, and also willing to dress provocatively and take these glamorous pictures of themselves is going to get them some traction. Well, apparently it's working.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a good point, but apparently this is
I
is
wonder
working.
how they're. I'm interested. I would be interested in.
Well, yeah. I mean, so this has been going on for a while.
Who their patients are becoming now, if they're seeing a more influx in.
They
men
are.
Or female. I mean, I guess more women usually get plastic surgery, but I wonder if they're getting it.
They're specifically targeting people for breast augmentation.
Yeah.
So they are targeting women. And so I just wanted to kind of give my thoughts about.
Maybe it's the men watching OnlyFans and then they're telling their girlfriends
Telling
or
their
their wives or something, you need to go get this boob job from this place. I have no idea.
I have no idea why I said this.
I don't know where I found this information.
Right. So, I have a couple of issues with this from a kind of ethical standpoint. First off is targeting young people. You're targeting a group of people who is very susceptible to, body dysmorphia and this unattainable ideal image that they're seeing on social media. And so I do have some issue with specifically targeting young people. I absolutely don't do that. In fact, I will definitely operate on young people if they come in, but once again, I'm going to give them all the reasons why they need to have some concerns, such as, one being that, doing something like a breast augmentation before you have kids almost necessitates you're going to have more surgery afterwards. And so, I mean, it's fine if you want to do it before, but I'm very upfront about my thoughts about that you're guaranteeing you're going to have another surgery in the future, which is more money. And so, that's one issue. I think that they're specifically targeting lower income people because they're saying, oh, we're going to do this for no down payment and you make monthly payments. And so, I would never advertise anything like that in my practice. One, because I just don't want the hassle of that. But two, you don't want someone to get plastic surgery with their last dollar, because what if you have a complication? What if you have the surgery, you spend all your money, God forbid you have a complication, you have to go to the hospital, you're not going to have the means to pay for that.
Yeah.
So you can literally go bankrupt if you do something like surgery and don't have the backup funds to anticipate a potential issue.
Yeah.
Now, hopefully, that's not happening very commonly, but once again, this is a very shady business practice, so I would question, the consistency of their outcomes. So I do have issues of the targeting of young people. We just literally talked about the plastic surgery mills when we were talking about medical tourism. I mean, this is just the UK's version of that.
Yeah.
These places don't advertise the specific doctor. It's an advertisement for the clinic. It's mind-boggling to me that this kind of things exist, because to me the most important thing about having surgery is the relationship with your surgeon. These OnlyFans modelers are not saying, I want to thank Dr. Hermann who gave me this, great results. I want to thank Enhanced Medical. That's just messed up.
It sounds like they're just turning these places or these companies like that are just turning plastic surgery into Walmart.
Yeah. I like to call them puppy mills, surgery mills. Surgery patient mills. It's just bad medicine, and a lot of these, horror stories you hear about complications do originate from places like this. It doesn't mean that I can't have a complication or, another well-respected surgeon can't, but when you have these potential roadblocks to good care, such as poor preoperative planning, doctors you don't know, much of their background, questionable post-operative care, you're just more likely to run into trouble. So, and then last thing, as far as using the OnlyFans models, I mean, honestly, I I have the least amount of issue with that.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, who cares?
I don't have any issue with people on OnlyFans whatsoever. I think it's great that they are, you know, making a living and, you know, doing what they need to do to live and thrive. So I don't have a problem with that, you know. I mean, sex sells, and people use attractiveness in both men and women to sell products literally all the time. And, you know, even on my website, when you go to my website, and I'm the one that picks the pictures, but there's pictures of attractive women, you know. It just is what it is. And this is just another form of that, in my opinion. And the fact that they may do, you know, whatever on OnlyFans is none of my business.
Yeah, it's just sad that they're targeting a certain demographic.
That's the worst part. The targeting to me is the worst part.
Yeah.
And then just the whole questionableness of the business model of these places. So, well, and the reason we're doing these things is, you know, educate people. You know, if you have friends who are younger, or, you know, if you're an older person, you have children in that age group, in their early 20s, and they say something about plastic surgery, just maybe, you know, ask them some questions, make sure that what they're doing is safe. At the end of the day, you know, the reason we do the show is we want to educate people and keep them safe. I do have a problem with what's going on over there in the UK, and I won't be surprised if we see an American version like very soon. We'll probably have to do a follow-up segment.
It's probably going to be in Florida.
It's going to be in Florida, yeah. So we're talking about Florida.
Yeah.
How many days since Florida disappointed us?
Zero. Yeah.
Sorry, Florida. I do love you. Sorry.
I'm going there next week.
Are you?
I'm going to Disney.
Are you not going for tourism, are you?
No.
Medical tourism?
No.
I know.
Nope.
Travis, what do you think, man? You're quiet in there.
This OnlyFans conversation is a slippery slope.
Is it?
I don't know. I don't know much about it.
Sure.
Dude, I you know, the first time I was made aware of OnlyFans was it was a few years back, and it was a girl that came into my office, and she was an OnlyFans model, and she was very like open about it. And this is like the early days of OnlyFans. In fact, she said she was a cam girl. She didn't even say OnlyFans. And she was telling me she's like, I used to be a stripper, and I was like, oh, that's, you know, cool, right, whatever. And she's like, well, I don't do that anymore. I'm like, oh, what do you do? And she's like, well, I model in front of a webcam. I'm like, okay, and how do you get money for that? And she's like, no, people like pay to watch me do stuff.
Right.
And I was like, really? I was like, wow, that's pretty ingenious. She's like, yeah, honestly, she said, I make double what I was making, you know, as a stripper, and I don't have to leave my house, and it's safer, you know. I mean, I'm not like around
She
people.
could be like wearing a mask too, you know.
Yeah, I mean, you could like leave your face out of it,
identity.
right? Yeah. So anyway, I mean, I don't have a problem with it. It's not my place to judge people. You want to be an OnlyFans model? You know, I guess, you know.
I feel like we should post Nip Talk to OnlyFans.
Can we do that?
You like really thinking about it too.
Well, I mean, like,
Yeah,
I'm not like we're gonna do it with our clothes off, but I mean, like, but I mean, can you put it on there for people to subscribe to it? Like,
You definitely can. It's not.
I like on Instagram. You can get people to subscribe to your Instagram.
Yeah, the
So like
content.
I have people that are subscribed to my Instagram. Do I post
so
weird
what do you?
pictures
Okay.
on that?
All right.
No.
So hold up. Back
I
up
don't
one
even
second. We were about to
use
end the
it.
show, but like, stop the end credits. Okay, here. So I've seen this now. You don't have to tell me if you don't want, but like, what do your fans get for the subscription? Like, do you talk
Nothing.
Oh gosh. No. So the thing
I
is,
tried to think of what I could possibly give.
I'm
to
sure
these.
that there's a.
I already know what they want, and they're never going to get that because I have too many men that follow me. But like, I started out thinking like, okay, well, these men obviously want girls. They want to have a girlfriend. They want a woman. They want something. So I'm like, maybe I can just give them advice.
What about like
So that's
watching
what
like
they
work out or
subscribe to.
something? Like, that's not like, you know, too risque, but.
Yeah, I could do that. I thought about it, but then I'm like,
Or just like lounging by the pool. I don't know. I mean.
yeah, people. I mean, they could do that.
Without
you could,
crossing the line, right?
Yeah, you could do like if
your
you,
daily stuff.
Like, so if you wanted people to subscribe to yours, you could be like,
No one's gonna subscribe to
but
me,
I'm
I
saying
don't
like to
think.
give them like exclusive,
I
like,
guess,
upfront.
I feel like I just give my advice
and
out for
then,
free anyway.
But then you post it afterwards. So be like, if you subscribe to me, you'll get episode. You'll get like access to an episode before everybody else,
But
or like,
Sarah,
you know,
even
something
with
like that.
your Instagram, you could still do content, or you could still like subscribe, or have people subscribe and do content like I want to say a Q&A, but it can be like, I know you
Like
do a lot
personal.
of like active stuff around the city. So you can like different events that's going on, or different places, restaurants that you go to, things like that. So it doesn't necessarily have to be like
creepy.
Creepy or adult content.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to think
Yeah,
of.
even with OnlyFans,
because I'm like,
you can upload to OnlyFans, and it can be like music. It can be baseball pictures.
So Travis, you're telling me I should start my OnlyFans?
He does
You
know
can.
about OnlyFans.
So I know a little
Yeah,
bit about it.
Travis,
I
you
know-
were just saying you didn't
I know-
know anything about this.
A tad bit about a tad bit.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Like, I feel like you know a lot. Like, you have like the OnlyFans like gold card or something?
It's a silver card.
Oh, silver. You're working up to the gold.
He's got an associate's degree.
Oh my god.
I'm joking.
This show got very interesting at the end. All right,
Really?
OnlyFans. I'm about to start mine. Apparently, I'm behind according to everyone here. So
Yeah, I'm gonna start mine with working out.
I think you should. I mean, well, not only, but like your subscription stuff.
Okay,
That's different.
that's a good idea.
It's not a bad idea.
It's good.
All right, please leave us a comment. Let us know what you think about OnlyFans or anything we talked about, and we'll see you next week.